As some of you may remember, an email was sent out on December 4th from Student Services in regards to a health notice. This email stated that a member of CBU had recently been diagnosed with pertussis, commonly known as whooping cough. Pertussis is an extremely contagious respiratory disease caused by the Bordetella pertussis bacteria. Now, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, commonly known as the CDC, states that this bacteria attaches to the cilia that line our respiratory tracts. Cilia are tiny hair-like projections. The bacteria then releases toxins or poisons that destroy the cilia and cause our airways to swell. Now, pertussis is actually a preventable disease with the Tdap vaccination. Tdap protects us against tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis. As many of you may have figured out by now, my speech this week is on vaccinations, specifically the need for vaccinations. I will present to you the problem as well as give you the effects of the problem of not vaccinating. In addition, I will give you the number one reason that people have quit vaccinating due to misguided information. And finally, I will give you the solution to the problem. I do ask that you keep in mind throughout this speech that vaccines are an essential part of our wellness in society. And without them, we are putting ourselves at risk of being exposed to previously eradicated, potentially fatal, yet nearly preventable diseases. Now, many of you may have already know this if you saw my introduction speech at the beginning of the year. For those of you that don't, I currently hold an Associate of Science degree in Health Sciences. I have taken well over 25 health science courses, including medical microbiology and some biochemistry, both of which provide an in-depth study of diseases. In addition, I will be starting the BSN program here at CBU in January. Now, by no means do I consider myself an expert on diseases and or vaccinations. However, with the studies that I have had thus far in my college career, I do feel that I am extremely well educated on the subject. With that being said, these memes that are popping up right now are meant to be funny. And I'll admit, I laughed at them. I still get a chuckle out of them. However, the problem associated with parents who have stopped vaccinating their children, aka the anti-vaxxers, is not at all a laughing matter. The problem is this. We have diseases that were once eradicated or nearly eradicated that are now resurfacing all across the United States. This problem has been associated with the fact that many parents have stopped vaccinating their children. What are the effects? Well, the effects are nearly the same as the problem. Let me explain. The effects of not vaccinating are that we are allowing these potentially deadly diseases to reemerge and claim victim to thousands of people's lives because we have quit vaccinating. A number of these diseases have actually already reemerged, including measles, mumps, rubella, diphtheria, and pertussis. Unfortunately, because of the increase of parents who have stopped vaccinating their children, many of these outbreaks are occurring in the infant, toddler, and adolescent populations. Now, much of what I have stated in this speech is common knowledge. So why are parents refusing to vaccinate? Unfortunately, the number one reason is because of misguided information from celebrities like Jenny McCarthy, who stated that vaccinations cause autism. This is not true. Vaccinations do not cause autism, and let me tell you why. According to the National Institutes of Health, autism is associated with the genes involved in the development of the brain. In the development, we're not born yet. They're involved in the development of the brain. Genes are made up of DNA. Some genes we are born with, while others are not. Therefore, because autism is associated with genes, we are either born with autism or we are not. In addition, genes don't just show up later in life. Some may lie dormant, like those that are involved in autoimmune diseases. However, we are born with all the genes that we will ever have. We don't form new ones. And secondly, the doctor who was a British gastroenterologist who first made this claim was fired and lost his license to practice medicine due to the false claims. In fact, the CDC released statements showing multiple studies that prove that there is no link between vaccinations and autism. Now that I've given you guys the problem, let me give you the solution. The solution is simple. The solution is to vaccinate. Vaccines work. We cannot continue to put this many lives at risk because of a myth that somebody has created. Vaccines work. Now, I have not yet introduced Christ into this speech, but I feel that now is the appropriate time to do so. Christ emphasizes that we love thy neighbor. And I'm going to quote this next piece. Scott James of the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission of Southern Baptist Convention states this: we should be advocates of routine universal vaccination because that is what is best for our neighbor. Vaccines protect the vulnerable, individually and community-wide. He goes on to say, as with all of medicine, vaccines are a common grace, a blessing that God bestows on all of mankind that is not directly tied to our salvation. Now I want to conclude by bringing back in that email that we all received on December 4th. Now, as part of the BSM program, all of us candidates are required to show proof of immunity, show proof of vaccinations. And we have to get blood tests to show that proof. It's called a titer. I found out that I was not immune, or that I did not have my updated Tdap vaccine. Remember that Tdap includes pertussis. So I was not vaccinated against pertussis when this email went out. And when I found out, I'll admit that I freaked out a little bit. I was born with a weakened immune system, which means that I'm very susceptible to many different diseases and illnesses. And because of this, I freaked out. I immediately went and I got my Tdap vaccine. Now I know I'm protected. And the moral of the story here is to get vaccinated if you're not already. And if you are, the CDC recommends that with the current outbreaks, adults that were vaccinated as children need to go and get booster shots in order to be completely protected against these outbreaks. We cannot continue to put our lives, our children's lives, and other people's lives at risk because of misguided information. Please go get your vaccines if you have not done so already. Thank you.